Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me again. I really value the platform I have here to be able to explore the music that means so much to me with you guys. We've covered a lot of jazz, blues and country, but we've yet to delve into the world of traditional folk music and bluegrass and look at how those two styles converge. Today we're going to learn a beautiful piece of music by Russ Barenberg, a bluegrass player well known for his work on the Transatlantic Sessions. I feel that this piece falls into a sweet spot where English, Irish and Scottish folk music overlap. So I guess we can just call it good old traditional British folk music. Whatever we call it, I think we can agree that it's beautiful and well worth learning. So let's stop mucking about and let's get into it. So we're in the key of D and we're going to drop D tune our guitar, which means lowering this bottom E string down to a D note. Just going to tune that back up and show you a couple of quick tips. So the first thing I like to do if I'm drop D tuning is I'll use the open D string as my reference and lower that bottom string until I hear that octave. Another way that you can do it is to play a harmonic at the 7th fret of the low E string and the 12th fret of the A string. And lower the string until those sounds collide and match. Test it with a D chord. If everything's gone to plan, you've ended up with a beautifully rich sounding resonant tuning where when you play an open D you can hit all 6 strings now. This is in 3/4 time with a full speed of 116 BPM, but of course for the sake of learning it we're going to slow things down quite a bit, and I think it's really good to work bar by bar with this stuff as well. Make sure everything has that structure. So our first bar at slow tempo sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. So we hit the E and D strings together. Plectrum on the thick string, second finger pulling up on the D string. And then hit the D string again with the pick, and then back to the low E with the pick, back to the D string with the pick, and then an upstroke on the 2nd fret. So a single upstroke in that phrase. Second bar begins with a hammer-on from 2 to 4 on the D string, and again we're going to hybrid pick so we can get this bottom open string with it. We're going to go hammer, then 4th fret of the D string again, back to the low E, back to the D string, hammer on to the 5th fret with the little finger. First 2 bars. No upstrokes in that 2nd bar. 3rd bar, hybrid picking 3 strings together this time. The bottom E, the open D with the 2nd finger, and the G string, 2nd fret with the 3rd finger. There's our D5, like a D power chord. Now even at this point I'm already thinking about adding my 2nd finger to the 3rd fret of the B string to complete this D5 chord. We do that, but we also then bring the 3rd finger in on the G string 4th fret. We hybrid pick the G and B together, plectrum on the G string, 2nd finger picking the B string, and pull off to that 2nd fret waiting there on the G string. And then the little finger goes to the 5th fret of the D string, we get that with an upstroke. This is one of those chords we've spoken about in a lot of my videos, the Americana studies for example. This beautiful sus4, D sus4, wants to resolve back to D. And we do that, beat 1 of the next bar, we bring the 3rd finger into the major 3rd of that D chord on the 4th fret of the D string, pick the open E and the D string together, again plectrum and 2nd finger. So this beautiful little phrase there. Now we do a tricky little move. We've just played this. We're going to slide to 5, back to 4, pull off to 2. And there's a certain way to time that. 1 and a 2. 1 and a 2 and 3 and. Then we just climb a D major triad, root, 3rd, 5th, all with the plectrum. So that's essentially 4 bars worth of D major we've just played. Now we're going to go to an A7. So from the 1 to the 5. On the A7 we're going to play a power chord again, like an A5 chord. Open A string and the 2nd fret of the D string. We can hybrid pick that to give it more punch, plectrum and 2nd finger. Now we play these notes. Notice again how there's only 1 upstroke in there and it's on the and of 3. So that would be 1, 2 and 3 and. Now beat 1 of the next bar, hybrid pick strings A and D together again. Hammer on from the 4th fret to the 5th fret of the D string. 1, 2 and 3 and 1. And then we play, go back down the way we came, again with an upstroke on the and of 3. And again we hybrid pick that A5 chord. And then Russ does something really interesting here in the right hand. Check this out. So he's flicking the string. Get the 2nd finger behind the thumb and actually flick the string. Takes a lot of practice to get accurate with it. Hit the D string. Then hammer on to 4, pull back off to 2, and then an upstroke on the open D string. And then we play this lovely rolling phrase. So pulling off very quickly from 2 to 0 on the D string, then an upstroke at 4 on the A string, downstroke on 2, hammer to 4, pull back to 2, hammer to 0. But again, there's a real timing to that, a lilt to it. And then go back onto 2, downstroke, 4, upstroke. 1 and 2, 3. And then the next 4 bars are going to be identical to the opening 4 bars. All of that stuff we played over a D chord. So I'm just going to rattle through the first 12 bars with a metronome at 80 BPM, so you can get a sense of the timing here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the final 4 bars of the A section, we're back on the A7 chord again. And we play the power chord, just as we did in bar number 5. But then we play a little hammer on from 4 to 5 on the D string. And then I use my 2nd finger here to pick the root note, the 2nd fret of the G string. And then we're back to the A5 again, with a hammer on from 2 to 4 on the D string. And another one is very fast pull-offs from 4 to 2. And then the open D, 4th fret of the A string, open, low E. Sounds strange before it resolves, but you can hear how beautiful that's going to sound once we move up to that D note. You want those pull-offs to be so quick that they almost don't register. To me it sounds like bagpipes. Huge deal if you really want this piece to have the correct feel. And as I said, then we resolve this A7 phrase back to D via that simple little slide from 4 to 5 on the A string. Beautiful sounding if you can keep those open strings ringing around it. And then a bit more playing around on the open strings, and then hammer on 0 to 4 on the A string before getting the octave again of our D notes. And that's really where the A section finishes. I'm just going to play the last 4 bars of the A section, again with the metronome at 80 BPM. 1, 2, 3. Now for the B section, we're heading to our 4 chord, G. Of course, when you've dropped D'd that bottom string, you can't play G this way anymore. You've got to be thinking about moving that note up a whole tone. So if you were going to strum this chord, you'd be best off going with something like this. 5x003. Again, it's like a G5 sound. And if you wanted to make that a G major as opposed to a G5, you'd have to bring in the major third by adding the 4th fret of the G string. Again, make sure the A string's dead, of course. So, bear that in mind. So we're going to begin this B section by sliding into that major third on the G string from the 2nd fret. Now keep that where it is. Complete your chord shape with simply the 3rd finger on the root note, 5th fret of the low E string, and hybrid pick strings E, D and G together. 1, 2, 3, 1. Now we go to a D major chord, very simply, open low E string, which of course is actually our D note, so there's the root, and then 2 notes from a D major triad here, the 3rd and the 5th, and hit them in that order, bass note, and then those 2 notes together. And I'm going pick, and then hybrid picking these 2, plectrum and 2nd finger. And then back to that G again. And then back to our D chord, only this time even simpler. Just a D5, open E, open D, 2nd fret of the G. 2nd finger actually is probably the best choice there, because then again we're going to slide in to that major third of G. This time we arpeggiate the chord, and then we go to an A5, bar the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the D and G strings, and hit the open A string with the pick before using your fingers to pluck those 2 strings. And then a D5 again. Nice rich sounding voicing. Low E, open D, 2nd fret of the G. So if I play the B section up to that point, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now we play again that beautiful sus4 sound. 2 to 5 on the D, and then open E string with the 4th fret of the D string. Again, D major, major third and root. And then we're doing some more legato stuff. We're going to pull off from 4 to 2, hammer back to 4, pick the open D string, and then 3, 2 on the B string. And then to this G major, 5th fret of the low E, there's your root. Also include the open G and the open B together. Hybrid pick those. And then open D, walking down the D major triad to an A. Another bit of legato, that bagpipey sound again. And then another hammer-on before finishing this D major triad shape. Root, 3rd, 5th. The next 4 bars are identical to the first 4 bars of the B section, so we're back to this. Now to close out the B section, which also closes out our main theme, we play this. So that's the D again, open E string with the 4th fret of the D, some legato stuff, pulling off, hammering, pull off to open as well. And then 2, 4, again thinking D major triad, right? 5th and the 3rd, and then to the A chord with another strong bit of legato. You've got to kind of roll the wrist and flick. And then open A, 2, hammer to 5. Good for building strength in your little finger, this piece. Then the open A and the 4th fret of the D string. Another one of those fast bagpipey trills. Same as earlier, building that tension there. Open D, 4th fret of the A, open low E. Slide to resolve while everything continues to ring. And that's the end of the B section. Now, when you're performing a piece like this, you want to feel free to add expression into it. And that can mean something as simple as adding a few brushed little strums where there might have been spaces, or adding some slide-ins to notes that weren't originally slid into. Simple little things that can take it to the next level and make it that bit more your own. So with that in mind, I'm going to play through the entire B section with the metronome at 80 BPM and add a bit of my own expressiveness to it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's get on to learning the solo that Russ plays over those changes on the live version of this from the Transatlantic Sessions. I'll link to that in the description because it's such a beautiful video. He comes in on beat 2 of that final bar of the B section, so kind of over the turnaround if you like. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, that being the first beat of your A section. So we're thinking D major here. Most of this is going to fall within the D major scale, but do keep an eye out for how targeted he's being with his note choice in terms of chord tones that relate to the underlying changes. Now, of course, with the lesson materials, you'll get tab and notation in Guitar Pro and PDF formats. That's going to have all of the detail broken down, so I won't go into too much exhaustive detail on specific fingerings and note names and fret numbers here. I'll also include my backing track with those lesson materials. So I reckon the best thing for me to do here is simply rattle through the A section at 80 BPM and name the chords as they change. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, D. A7. Back to the D. A7, D, and there's G. That's the beginning of the B section. So again, everything in there is from the D major scale, but you've got to notice where the changes are happening to give you a bit more structure. For example, when he goes to the A7 for that first time, lands right on the major third on the first beat of that bar, and then literally plays an A7 arpeggio. Root 3, 5, flat 7. That level of awareness is really important to make your scales sound more melodic and purposeful. I just want to mention a couple of things technique-wise here again. You've got a couple of really fast trills happening. For example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Really punctuate those rhythms with clarity. And then there's also that phrase in measures 10 and 11 of the solo, where you have a triplet going into some slidey stuff and then a 16th note triplet. Those things are really important to get very delineated and clear. 3 and a 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2. Now I'm going to do the same kind of thing with the B section. I'll just do a slow playthrough and then go over a couple of little talking points. And I'm really thinking of the B section as beginning with that little 3-note run-in at the very end of the A section. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. G. D. G. A7, D, G, D, A7, then running in back to the main theme for one more go round from the top. So it's important, again, to really notice how direct those note choices are. Over the G chord, lands right on the major third on the first beat of that chord's arrival. Now the D major, triad, right? Again, part of your D major chord. Back to the G, A7, D. You can always hear those changes. So as with all things, it's really important that you practice this the methodical, proper way, nice and slow with a metronome, couple of bars at a time. Make sure the timing is there from the get-go. Don't learn the notes and then add the timing later. That's not how it works. So get it sounding right, get it sounding musical, and then gradually let the speed increase. And then your overall arrangement, you want to play through the entire main theme, then the solo, and then the entire main theme again to close out. Just like I did in the performance video at the start. So not only is this a beautiful piece of music, but it really means a lot to me individually as well. It makes me think of my Nanna, who sadly passed a few years ago. She battled with dementia, and towards the end, I would often comfort her by playing this song to her. She really liked it, and she's the reason I got into music in the first place. I'm going to show you this picture here of me maybe at 2 years old. She's playing piano, I'm stood by the side, clearly very interested. And she taught me piano from that age. You know, she really got me into music and taught me how to read music. Not that I can really do it very well anymore, but she really inspired me, and she was a great teacher and a brilliant musician and just a fantastic person. So this is dedicated to my Nanna, Janet Crawley. Now, technique-wise, we've gone over a lot of the details there already, but one thing we haven't mentioned is picking style. When you're hitting single notes, especially in the solo, try and use rest strokes whenever you can. Gives the notes a real nice strong flavour. Compare it to without rest strokes. I'd argue that you're hearing more of the pick and less of the guitar that way. If you use rest strokes, you're going to hear that wood a little more. It's especially noticeable on the thicker strings, for example the G or D strings. No rest stroke. Rest stroke. It's like a whole different instrument. Okay, so how about a little bit of gear talk? Today I'm using my beloved Martin HD28V. I brought this guitar second hand a few years ago, and it had already been played in quite a bit and shown some nice signs of wear. I believe this was part of a limited run for West Side distribution. Pre-war spec, so you've got the slide-in saddle, you've got animal hide glue, I believe, and a nice chunky neck profile with one of those typical volutes here where the headstock joins the neck. And it just feels so good to play, and it's so rich and deep sounding. My number one acoustic guitar by a mile. And I've got a set of John Pierce 8020 bronze strings on here, gauge 12 to 53. Really nice strings. The plectrum is from Honey Picks. I think it's 2 mil thick, and it's called the Smoker. It's my ideal shape, really. 3 usable beveled sides. Really nice sounding pick. You might have noticed that for the end of the video here I've just gone down to the single vocal mic, and that's what's picking up the guitar right now. But for the main lesson portion of the video I was using a Neumann KM184 mic close onto the body of the guitar. And in the performance at the beginning I was using an Aston Spirit large diaphragm condenser mic. Well, thanks for joining me again, guys. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you and share some music with you. I really hope that you enjoy working on this piece. Do let me know down in the comments below how you're getting on, or if you have any questions at all. And I would certainly recommend checking out more of Russ Barenberg's work. Have a listen to his album When at Last. It's full of beautiful songs, this being one of them. And also do search on YouTube for some of those Transatlantic Sessions videos. Mind-blowingly beautiful performances of incredible songs, and played by some of the most tasteful musicians that you've ever seen. Right, so I guess that about wraps it up. I'll see you guys again next week, and we'll move on to something completely different. Right, take care.